Good morning, Glenn Kirschner.
Good morning, Steph. I will never get over that jingle y'all put together.
Thank you. When we say y'all, we mean Rocky Mountain Mike, but thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, so much to talk about. I mean, this is literally insane that Rudy Giuliani is currently in the midst of an ongoing crime spree in the Ukraine, the very thing the impeachment is starting for, right?
Yeah, and I think he's probably doing a few things over there.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if he's spending a lot of his time continuing to do Trump's sort of dirty Ukraine deal bidding. I think he's probably trying to make money.
Yeah.
And I think he's doing that because he's going to need to fund his own criminal defense very soon. And I think he's probably over there looking for potential witnesses that can assist him in his own criminal defense, because
Wow.
I'd be shocked if Giuliani doesn't get charged by the Southern District of New York.
Yeah. Senator Chris Murphy has tweeted, Glenn, Rudy Giuliani is in Ukraine today, meeting with Ukrainian leaders on behalf of the President of the United States, representing the president's reelection campaign. It is time to wake up. The corruption didn't end when impeachment began. It is ongoing. But I mean,
it's just, as we now know, the day after Mueller testified, Trump launched his new effort to enlist foreign interference in our elections by reaching out to President Zelensky. So, nobody should be surprised that he continues to engage in this kind of behavior. And God forbid, the day the Senate acquits him, and we can talk about that in a minute. I hope that doesn't happen, but that's where the smart money is riding. The day the Senate acquits him of the articles of impeachment, what in the world will he do then?
yeah. What do you mean?
Well, if history is any guide, he's only going to continue to reach out to
I see. Yes,
foreign
further
officials to
emboldening it. Yeah.
interfere. He's going to continue to sell his office for his own personal gain. But, how can he up the ante? It's frightening.
Yeah. Glenn, I hate to yell another man's name out when I'm with you, but I had Matt Miller on yesterday, and I yelled your name out when I was with him because I just want to keep all my men jealous and ready. But you tweeted yesterday, this is what I read to him. You said, I agree the House should slow down and await the testimony of McGahn, Bolton, Mulvaney, Pompeo, and others. As Professor Turley has said, we don't want to move too quickly or investigate too narrowly. All of Trump's crimes and abuses should be investigated and exposed. And I think Matt was saying that he understands the urgency of what Schiff said and what I just, you and I just talked about. And, clearly we are going ahead. But, I mean, people are all over the place, even in the legal community, right? Like, I mean, George Conway tweeted, I say we start impeachment and keep investigating, and then if more comes in, impeach him again. What is your take today?
Yeah, so, I think my view evolves, hour by hour and minute by minute based on what we learn. So, now that was not a nod to Professor Turley. Both he and I teach at George Washington University, but I was not vouching for his view of the world in that tweet. But, I was trying to make the point that if acquittal in the Senate is a foregone conclusion, I hope it's not. And I just saw Murphy saying on TV, no, it wasn't Murphy, it was Mark Warner, saying on TV, listen, when those senators are sworn in, let's hope that they take their oath seriously and actually pay attention to the gravity of the moment, and maybe they start to be persuaded. I still have some hope that there will be some Republican crossover when the vote is taken in the Senate. But here's the thing. If a Senate acquittal is a foregone conclusion, then does it make sense for the Dems to rush to that end game when we know there is criminal complicity that has gone unexposed in the upper echelons of the State Department, in the upper echelons of the Office and Management and Budget, based on Mulvaney being part of Trump's dirty Ukrainian deal? Or do we continue to investigate all of that to make sure we see how far the tentacles have spread throughout the executive branch? I think it's imperative. Listen,
by the way, headline just popped up that Chris Murphy has confirmed that there are 5 Republican senators he believes that would vote for impeachment.
He said that on Morning Joe this morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
That's a beautiful thing. We are approaching a post-Trump era. coming one way or the other. And yes, I have said it will be the most glorious sunrise imaginable on the day we wake up and we are living in a post-Trump world. It's coming, and we need to prepare for it now. One thing we need to do is get a handle on all of the crime, abuse, and corruption that has permeated the executive branch. Not just, you know what, we had 12 fact witnesses last week, and most of them were dynamite, especially the women, that proved the president committed crimes and impeachable offenses.
By the way,
we've now had expert witnesses who I think were really compelling in showing us that the two things that the framers of the Constitution were most concerned about, foreign interference in our elections and a president abusing the power of his office in one sort of great spasm of crime, Trump has brought those two things together.
Yeah.
Right?
By the way, I dream of that sunrise all the time. And in the sunrise, I am on a beautiful beach holding hands with you and Matt Miller and Jill Winebanks and Maya Wiley singing
right,
Kumbaya.
I'm going to have to arm wrestle Matt Miller for you. Okay? Yeah. I'm willing to take that on.
I think you'd win, Glenn.
Well, you tweeted, Glenn, winter is coming, justice is coming, and Trump's tax returns are coming. That could be a game changer. You also ventured that he could be a thousandaire.
Yeah. Yeah. They are coming. Listen, we see all of this crumbling. It's all going to crumble, and the Republicans in the Senate cannot save Trump, regardless of how they vote. It's all going to come crumbling down. But let me go back. So I was on a panel last night on MTP Daily with Neil Katyal. So it was nice because there was somebody on panel who was smart, circumspect, authoritative, and then there was me. And I'm listening to Neil, and he said, listen, he kind of half agreed with me. He said there's so much left to investigate that we should consider rolling impeachment. In other words, let's vote the articles of impeachment right now. Send them to the Senate. Get the trial going. But we need to continue to investigate because there is so much crime, abuse, and corruption in the executive branch that has not yet been exposed because Trump is covering it up. He's refusing to produce documents. He's prohibiting people from testifying who could provide incriminating information against him. So we can't just stop here. We can certainly send over articles of impeachment, but we can't stop the investigation here. So I think rolling impeachment makes a lot of sense.
Well, the Washington Post reporting Trump is set to face obstruction and bribery impeachment charges, but not treason, though the situation could change at any moment. So, Glenn, first of all, where are we here? So, Judge Napolitano predicts Trump will testify under oath. How amazing would that be under oath with 200 million people watching?
Yeah, I've had defendants testify in RICO trials, for example, where I got to cross-examine them literally for an entire trial day, and it is manna from heaven because they're such poor liars and they're such poor witnesses that you can see the quality of your evidence of guilt just mounting before your eyes. Now, Trump is unconstrained, and because he's gotten rid of the people who at least kept some control on him over the last couple of years, he's completely unrestrained. I would love for him to. Now, I think he's a coward. I don't think there's a chance in hell he's actually going to walk into the Senate floor and testify because he's a coward. He will. He will never set foot in the arena, as Teddy Roosevelt famously said. It's not the critic that counts. It's the person who sets foot in the arena, is willing to get bloodied, is willing to be knocked down, is willing to get back up and continue the fight. He's a stone cold coward.
Yeah. So, but Glenn, you're probably aware that as a great attorney, he's probably the worst client you could ever have. I mean, this is either going to be a show of epic proportions, the Senate trial, or he is going to, because clearly he's saying he wants to call Joe and Hunter Biden, Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, and even Lindsey Graham is warning against dragging this out. But Trump, I think, in some ways can't help himself, right? From his victimhood and wanting to, they're going to try to make this a trial of the Bidens. One Democratic strategist said Democrats should make very clear if Republicans call Hunter Biden at the Senate trial, they will convene House hearings on nepotism and familiar leveraging of power for personal gain. They can subpoena Trump Kirschner business records and demand they testify in public. I mean, this, I mean, seriously, could be just a mud-flinging monkey house, feces swing.
If you
Right.
have no principled defense on the facts or the evidence, you have to try to make a mockery of the process. And that's what he's going to try to do. I don't know. It's going to take 51 senators to vote in favor of him being able to do some of these things, to turn it into the mockery that he would like to see it become. Because, the rules of the Senate when it comes to impeachment are pretty crazy and Byzantine and wide open.
Right.
But I actually don't think 51% of the Senate, 51 of the senators will start to vote in favor of making it a complete S show.
Right.
I don't think
Right.
that's going to happen.
Right. By the way, I love how supportive you are of awesome women. You said my opinion of Professor Carlin. She made this old prosecutor want to audit every class she teaches. You said Mimi Roca, run, Mimi, run, which that's good news for me is we can have her on more often because, right? But she is awesome. Professor Carlin, they just, somebody tweeted this, it's going to be the women that save this country, right?
It is. And that's why I think these men need to woman up. The, Boltons of the world and the Pompeos and the Mulvaneys need to woman up, stand up, be strong, speak out, stand for something, for gosh sakes. It really, I think, is the women who have been the stars of the House hearings and will probably be the stars of the Senate trial. And, I wish we could turn the country over to women, at least temporarily, if not permanently, because I think they will pull us out of this old white male morass that we have been drowning in. And I'm an old white male. But you know what? We've screwed stuff up. And I think, and maybe because I raised 5 daughters and I see what remarkable people they are, let's let the women run the country for a while and pull us out of this morass.
Oh, see, that's why you're not just a man I love.
Okay.
You're a man that makes me not just feel like a woman, but feel like a straight woman.
Steph,
for a minute.
You're making it creepy.
What?
You're making it
All
creepy.
right.
Love
Well.
story you were playing in the background?
Yes, it was.
All right. All right.
You're gonna have him and Matthew Miller fighting over you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I swear you do really make me, I think your optimism and patriotism is so passionate that people, I know people have the same reaction to you that I do, but I loved what you tweeted. You said last day of classes at GW, final exams next week. I'll miss this great group of students I've been honored to teach. Their zeal for fairness, justice, and equality makes me wildly optimistic for our future. And I am too. So we're not it's not misplaced?
No, because justice is coming. And when I teach these kids, it's a group of 40 kids each semester who are, taking criminal justice. And it's remarkable because we spend a lot of time talking about this is what our criminal justice system looks like today. And frankly, here are the inequalities. And it's up to you all. Let's talk about not only what it looks like, but what do you think it should look like? And then I listen to them and I learn from them. And they are going to go out and tackle these problems. When it comes to things like restorative justice, which is a really an item that interests me so much right now, and I want to spend the next few years trying to work on, because we can fix our criminal justice system to really focus on restorative justice, setting inmates up for success when they reenter the community, because guess what? That's a win-win-win. It's a win for the inmate. It's a win for the community because the inmate is going to go out and be productive in the community, and it's a win for the system and the criminal justice system overall because the person is going to go out and is going to succeed rather than doing more crime, creating more victims, sucking up more police resources, sucking up more taxpayer dollars by having to litigate more prosecutions and put them back in prison. It's win-win-win, and we need to change the way we think about setting inmates up for success.
And speaking of police, Glenn, we need to start with a new attorney general. As you, a real attorney general, you tweeted, "It's no surprise to so many of us who voted our careers to public service and law enforcement were disturbed by AG Barr's totalitarian-esque statements about, if people don't learn to respect police, they're going to not have police protection." I mean, it's not even dog whistle anymore, is it?
Yeah, and I think I may have followed that up with Bill Barr would be an excellent attorney general for North Korea. And that's one of the reasons I think that the House needs to continue to dig into these investigations, because ordinarily, when the kind of corruption and crime that has been exposed here, that includes OMB, the State Department, the White House, is when it's uncovered, we can count on the Department of Justice and the FBI to dig into it and to grab hold of it and to bring charges against those people
Yeah.
who have committed crimes inside of government. Unfortunately, we can't count on Bill Barr's Department of Justice
Right.
doing any of that
Right.
if it might impact the president. So that's why I say, listen, maybe the House needs to continue to do this quasi-law enforcement investigation in the absence of Bill Barr letting the Department of Justice do it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so real quick, because we're so long, but so you vote for, obviously we are beginning impeachment, just a rolling impeachment. So, what you're saying is don't rush it in the House. That's what you mean by a rolling impeachment, right?
Yeah, rolling impeachment.
Okay.
Go ahead and vote out the articles of impeachment because the evidence that the president needs to be impeached is overwhelming and it's uncontrovertible. It can't be defended on the facts. So go ahead and vote out those articles. Send them over to the House, to the Senate, but continue to investigate
Yep.
and watch the obstruction occur during the Senate trial. That will then, I think, as you just said, Steph, actually give more fuel to the House's fire to continue to investigate.
Yeah, I see. Okay. All right. 2 words before you go. Matthew who?
Oh, stop.
I kid. All right.
My work is done here.
Love you. Love you, Glenn Kirschner. If nothing else, I want to be your 6th adopted daughter. How's that?
Love you too, Steph.
Oh.
All right. Bye, Glenn.